Good evening. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professionals, IGP. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professionals, IGP. Thank you all for joining us and staying with us till the end. Honorable knowledge seeker, today I am your host for the evening. My name is Ritwan. I am from Bangladesh. Dear knowledge seekers, I am proud to be associated with IGP. IGP, your non-profit organization, is a social and as a certified international educational and training institute. In the last 3 years, we have already served 35 million plus knowledge seekers in 100 plus countries. Education internationally recognized and globally accredited. We are connected to more than 450 plus professionals and 4,500 plus organizations. Institute of Global Professionals IGP and ISO 9001 2015 and 10 facilitating is a training facility for skill development which was founded in 2020 and is generating competent candidates to meet demand in the global labor market by providing professional certification. The Institute of Global Professionals is an educational institute that provides social work globally recognized and reputed. Research students and community resource providing holistic social work and education. We believe that it's not effective to increase one's skill just by acquiring formal education. So we provide effective training and consultation to generate proficient generations all over the world. We distribute our services locally, nationally, and internationally to student job seekers, job holders, also for learners through respective campus solution and distance learning platforms. We are an occupational and competitive institute. AGP is one of the famous online institute from all over the world. Our mission is education isn't a business product. It's a part of our human rights. Based on our vision, we are trying to serve reach all corners of the world for free webinars, seminars, courses, awards, quiz competitions, monitoring and counseling, etc. On the other hand, on the other side, we are also trying to offer more than 100 premium services for free, like creating our portfolio, resume, cover letter, motivation letter, and world knowledge platforms for gathering general knowledge which can upgrade on kids learning, game websites, free courses, converts sites, and data. We help to empower youth to learn to meet their expectations, our and dreams, and become highly skilled people. We implement several training programs, webinars, and online offline courses for youth and learners by professional trainers, speakers, and teachers. Our sessions are conducted by globally renowned professionals to develop all kinds of youth to promote the education of their abilities and personalities. Spreading knowledge is crucial for the exchange of our professionals. We believe that knowledge is love and life ambition. So we try to understand all the needs of today's generation and will serve them with good research and practice methods. We must have a genuine concern for the learners. With respect, we represent our more diversity, growth, and innovation are required to lead a committed to offering to lead a session with professionalism, passion, and integrity. Our members are committed to offering effective, best quality service and continual improvement so that individually who seek information can improve their skill levels and well. Before we move to the next, let me remind you don't forget to share, tag, and mention your friend in the comment box. Your support is very valuable to us. Thank you. Before we move to the next, let me remind you don't forget to share, tag, and mention your friend in the comment box. Your support is very valuable to us. Thank you. Moving to the next, with your continuous support, you have already completed 1,500 webinars successfully. Moving to the next, with your continuous support, you have already completed 1,580 webinars successfully. We are RGP speakers, participants, and well-wishers at this moment. This is a very important message for you all. We changed and designed our website www.eduigp.com. On this website, we have surprises for everyone who will be. We already launched our new website where you can find our previous activities together with lots of new features. But one strong point is that without an account or login, you can't enjoy our services. So create your account for once with your proper information. Note that with your proper information, you will enjoy all features. With mismatched data, you can't do anything here. From now on, you have to participate in live quiz competition on our website. We replace live. You have to join directly on our website. Now you can check all of our previous webinars with verified certificates. Now it's easier and timelier because after the session we will not provide you with any code for certification. You have to take part in one exam. After that, if you passed, you will receive your certificate. Otherwise not, but you can take part in an exam unlimited till you pass. If you were a host of IGP, you can download your certificate of lifetime. If you are an online quiz competition winner, you can download your certificate of participation. If you are selected for a lifetime membership, then you can download a certificate of lifetime membership easily. Besides this, if you participate in any award function which organized combined with IGP, support with IGP, you can download that also. You can instantly prepare and download 18 types of instant certificate from our website within a minute. Certificate of global professional membership, certificate of global influencer during the pandemic, certificate of active knowledge seeker, certificate of social activist during the pandemic, certificate of achievement, IGP knowledge seeking campaign 2020, certificate of achievement, IGP knowledge seeking campaign 2021, certificate of achievement, IGP knowledge seeking campaign 2022. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 1 Authentic Investment in Teaching Learning. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 2 Teaching English as a Foreign Language and Assessment. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 3 Digital Classroom Engagement Tool. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 4 The New Trends in Education. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 5 Art Skilling, Organizational Leadership and Materials. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 6 Trends and Innovation in Mathematics Education. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 7 Research a Comprehensive Effort. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 8 Art and Teaching Special Program in the Arts. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 9 21st Century Tools in Teaching Mathematics. Certificate of IGP Corporate Ambassador, Certificate of IGP Campus Ambassador, which you can prepare and download within a minute. From now on, you can participate in 1000 plus international level quizzes with verified certificates. Teaching tips for teachers, health tips for parents, health tips for team gamification tools for teachers. You can join Edge IGP alumni. You can check out our 50 plus premium services website for free and many more. Dear IGP well wishers, we promised previously but lack of technical issue we are late sending you on time. This is a great opportunity to collect your previous credentials. We solved all issues from our website. Now you can enroll, receive password, everything. You can check your dashboard for all written settings. It's a cordial request. We check all buttons and pages on our website. Surely I can say you will be benefited. Thank you, but know that without an account or login, you can't enjoy our services. At present, we are going to start our 1581 program name Predatory Research published publishing and best practice in avoiding it. And today, and our today's speaker, Sir Mark uh, Gabriel Wagon Aguilar, MBA and HMD PhD. Before I hand over the stage to Sir, I want to share a little bit about our speaker. Assistant Professor I for Emilio Aguinaldo College, Associate Editor for East Countries Worldwide Journal of Research, Registered Writer, Author, Editor, Educational Technologist, and Publishing Specialist of the National Book Development Board, Philippines. Now is a very important Now is a very important moment for me to invite our speaker to IGP with his presentation. Now is a very important moment for me to invite our speaker to IGP with his presentation. Hello, sir.
Hello, ma'am. Great evening from the Philippines. It's nice to.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's my third time here, so thank you very much for inviting me again.
Okay, sir. Sir, on behalf of IGP Knowledge Seekers, want to hear you from you about you, sir. Now the stage is yours. Over to you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Um, so greetings to all members of the Institute of Global Professionals who are here today and those who are still joining. I'm hoping that you would stay until this session is finished. So, time check. It is 8:27 p.m. here in the Philippines, and this is a testament on how the world has evolved over the years. Thanks to technology, we can now effectively communicate with anybody from anywhere in the world. Basically, we don't need to be in one place or in one country in order for us to communicate. However, no matter how much we get fascinated by technology, it is worth noting that it has also caused negative implications that seem to have made some things more challenging, one of which is our topic for today. So, without further ado, let me present to you our topic for today, entitled Predatory Research Publishing and Best Practices in Avoiding It. So, basically, in this session, we will talk about the growing problem of predatory publishing that the scholarly field is currently facing, which many of us are unaware of. Although many might be aware, however, they do not really understand what it is and how it happens. In fact, I know several educators here in the Philippines who have published in predatory journals without even realizing it. So, if you are currently writing and conducting research, or if you have already completed one and you plan to submit it in a research or international journal in the future, but you do not have the adequate knowledge on how to distinguish predatory ones from those that are legitimate, then this session is for you. So, to start with, let us define predatory research publishing. Okay, there are many interpretations on what predatory publishing is, or basically what predatory journals are. But it was Grudniewicz et al. In 2019 who have come up with a detailed definition, and it is the definition displayed on your screens right now. In a simple explanation, it basically refers to the entities such as individuals or companies that prioritize self interest over scholarship. Self interest meaning they are into research publication not to ensure the production of quality papers, but only to make money. So they are using research basically to do business, okay, instead of ensuring quality publications. Now, I was linking it to technology a while ago because it is believed that this phenomenon or this practice started in the early 1990s, coinciding with the rise of online open access journals that charge authors in exchange for free access to manuscripts or basically research. And apart from that, it was in 2008, the time when the world started to witness an overwhelming increase in the utilization of the internet, when Professor Bill, who was an associate professor at the University of Colorado, Denver in the USA, noticed this author pay model and began researching about it. And through his research, he has proven that there are several research journals that will print anything for a price. So, after learning about it, he decided to develop a list for public awareness, and this is what we know now as Bill's list of predatory journals and publishers. Now, if you're wondering, um, did the practice of predatory publishing stop when Professor Bill published the Bill's list? Unfortunately, it did not. In fact, the practice is still prevalent until this day. There are still a lot of predatory journals out there, and they are feeding off the ignorance of those educators and researchers who are not aware of the issue. If you're going to ask me, I personally call these journals and publishers ghost, as in ghost, because you cannot see them, you don't know them. Basically, they're just websites that have sprouted out of the blue and started to publish papers. Now, with the prevalence of these predatory entities, many fall victim to the practice, causing educators and researchers their reputation, money, and of course, their papers or research that they have worked hard for. Because you must understand, my dear listeners, that being listed in a predatory journal is not publication in the first place, as in reality, the journal does not exist. Yes, we can argue that the journal exists as a website, but it's not really an official research journal. It's just a mere website, because anybody can create a website in exchange for money, right? And in fact, there are also free websites uh, that we can also create on our own. But to qualify as an official and legitimate journal, of course, there are certain processes that you need to do or you have to meet so that you can call or address your website or basically your piece of work as an official research journal. So with that being said, if these predatory entities are just websites, then and it gets published in their website, it's actually no different from you uploading your paper on your Facebook accounts. Okay, because basically it's just a website. And in short, it doesn't count as a research publication. So clearly, people are being deceived with the use of a website where they could see a name of a journal, that sounds good. Now, to prove my point, there are already a lot of studies or researches that have confirmed several educators in various parts of the world who have intentionally and unintentionally published their work in potential predatory journals. I myself did a research on this just a couple of months ago, which is potentially the first here in the Philippines. So, through my research, I was able to find out that there are incidences of this practice in my country. In fact, as far as my study is concerned, it accounts for 34% of the research publications of educators in the five higher education institutions that I have chosen as research locale. Okay, so 34% may not be the majority, but that is equivalent, or that can be translated to 3 to 4 out of 10 papers getting wasted, which for me is a significant number because it's almost, 50%. What is worse is the fact that there are some educators who have more papers in predatory journals compared to legitimate ones. Yes, in my study, there are some educators who have more papers in predatory journals compared to their legitimate publications. To give you an example, the worst case that I have identified was the case of a university lecturer whose expertise is in educational management. I have found out that 71%, or 10 of her 14 research publications, were in dubious journals. And mind you, she has a doctorate degree. So if you're going to analyze it, if you're going to think of it, doctorate degree holders should be the experts in research. Yet, many are not even aware of these things. To tell you frankly, this issue is so problematic. There are university or college presidents, vice presidents, and research directors who have published in predatory journals and continue to do so due to their ignorance, particularly in the Philippines. So, this is the exact reason why I always say that a PhD or a doctorate degree does not always translate to knowledge towards research, especially in the publication process. What makes this more alarming is that this also indicates that there are HEIs, or higher education institutions, that do not have a thorough understanding of this practice. Yet they continue to push their faculty members to publish their work. I mean, they should first ensure that their faculty members know how to distinguish predatory journals from those that are legitimate so they won't get victimized. But then again, it cannot be done because even the administrators do not have the adequate knowledge towards it. Now, let me go back a little. Um, I said earlier that papers listed in predatory journals are getting wasted, right? I said that. That is exactly my term. Okay? I use the term wasted because once your paper gets listed in a predatory journal, whether it was your intention or whether you have no idea that you submitted to a predatory journal, once it has been published there, it will be very difficult to have it retracted. Because most of these journals will charge you a huge amount of money for the removal of your paper from their website. In fact, this is also one of their strategies to earn money from their victims. And we are not just talking little money here. We are talking about hundreds of US dollars. So if you're going to translate it or convert it to your um, country's currency, it could be a huge amount of money. Additionally, if you are thinking that you can submit it to another journal, since your publication in the predatory one does not count, like what I've said earlier, well, that is actually impossible because legitimate journals are very strict when it comes to plagiarism or similarities, which will be detected on your paper since your paper, although in a predatory journal, is already in the World Wide Web. It's already in the internet. It's part of the search engine already. So once the legitimate journal check if the content of your paper is similar to other papers in the World Wide Web, of course, it will see your publication in the predatory journal. So you really need to have it removed first. But then again, it will cost you a lot. Now, if in case you have been a victim already and you decided to just let it go, you told to yourself that, okay, I don't want to spend money. I'll just let my paper in that journal. That's fine. However, please understand that if you continuously recognize these so-called publications, even after knowing that these were in predatory journals, you are like tolerating the practice. So if this happens to you, my advice is it is better for you to remove it from your accounts. Like if you have a Research Gate account, if you have a Google Scholar account, if you have listed that before in your curriculum vitae, if you submitted it, if you have submitted it to for your promotions, immediately remove it. Do not acknowledge it anymore as your accomplishment. Okay, remove it from all your records because if you're going to assess it, it's actually your reputation, okay, that will get negatively affected. So it's just one paper. Just let it go because whether it was your choice, whether you are aware when you were submitting it, you cannot deny the fact that it is now in a predatory journal that doesn't have any value. So just imagine now how extreme the problem is. And this is why you really have to master the process and be aware of these issues before you engage in research publication. Okay, so if you have friends who are into research publication, if you have colleagues who are planning to publish in a research journal in the future, please share the knowledge that you have acquired now from me so that they will avoid this from happening to them. Okay, so moving on, many will argue that to ensure the legitimacy of research journals, you may base it on its indexation. Okay, some of our colleagues, some educators, some university administrators will say, well, it's easy to avoid predatory journals. All you have to do is to look at where it is indexed. Like for example, if it's indexed in Scopus, that is guaranteed legitimate. If it's indexed in Google Scholar, for sure that is legitimate. So you don't have to worry. In fact, in most cases, a research conference that as the journal is in Scopus, being the most reputable indexing database, you will be guaranteed that the journal is not predatory. However, that is not true. That is really not true. In a study that I did a couple of months ago, this is a different study. I have made a number of studies in predatory journal or in predatory publishing, as well as in the indexation of legitimate journals. So, in one of my researches, I found out that there were predatory journals that were found indexed in Scopus. Some examples are those that have been discontinued. Maybe you have already seen um, some journals that were indexed in Scopus before, but now if you're going to go back to Scopus, if you're going to check Saimago, you will see that it was discontinued. And that is what I'm talking about. These were discontinued by Scopus after learning that they were engaged in predatory practices. So, if so even the most reputable, the most popular indexing database has failed to effectively screen the journal it accepts for indexation. So, this indicates that we cannot solely base on indexation to tell if a journal is not predatory, contrary to what many HEIs and educators are telling us. So, my dear listeners, my fellow educators, my fellow researchers, you need to be more critical when evaluating the legitimacy of the journal that you are looking at. Never ever solely base the legitimacy of the journal on its indexation. Okay? Now, we can talk about this all day long. But until we learn how to avoid this challenge, of course, it will remain as a problem. With that, I'm happy to share some of my best practices to determine if a journal is likely to be predatory, therefore must be avoided. But apart from that, there are also, or these are also my strategies in choosing where to publish because by following this simple criteria, you could also tell if a journal observes standard practices to ensure quality. And when you say quality, that makes the journal reputable. This criteria were inspired from the study of Friel et al. 2017 and Bill in 2015, but I have made it simpler and straightforward for everybody today. Okay, so here are the pointers that I use. Okay, so first, you need to check the time period for its submission to publication process. Okay, remember that. You can take note that check the time period for its submission to publication process. If the journal is offering a very fast review process alongside a minimal fee, my friends, it is likely to be predatory. Everybody needs to understand that the publication process in legitimate journals takes some time, considering the review process, revisions, editing, copywriting, and the actual publication of the research. That is basically just how it is. Your paper before publication needs to be thoroughly evaluated And that, my listeners, cannot be done in just a few days. You just imagine you conducted and written your paper for many months. Sometimes it will take years. Then when it comes to the publication process, if it will just take a few days, it's not real. It's not true. That is not how it goes. Okay. Um, do not be deceived by journals that will tell you that they will publish your research in just a few weeks or a few days. Even, okay, even if you know personally the editor in chief or some editors in the journal, because there is a huge possibility that even the editor in chief and some of the editors are not aware that they are working with a predatory publisher. Okay? If your paper gets published or gets uploaded on the website just a few days or weeks after submission and payment of the fee, it only means that it was not peer reviewed. And that, my friends, is a predatory practice. So for everybody understanding, let me share to you my experience in the publication of my previous researches. The fastest time my paper got published was 2 months. That was the fastest. I have published now 12 researches, and I have another 8 currently being reviewed in reputable journals. So the fastest so far was done in 2 months, publication process. While the most time that I have waited was 1 year and 3 months. That was the most time that I've waited. So if you see the statement fast review process or fast publication in exchange for a few peso or dollars, stay away, look away, and don't ever look back. Because again, that is really potentially a predatory journal. Okay, second pointer, the second bullet. Check if the journal is a standalone journal. So, okay, what do you mean by a standalone journal? A standalone journal does not have a publisher. That's why it's called standalone. It's operating by itself. It doesn't have a publisher. It doesn't have another entity that publishes it or that manages it. For example, the name of the journal is this is just an example, okay? For example, the name of the journal is International Journal of Research and Development. Then when you search for its publisher, it is also stated that the publisher is the International Journal of Research and Development. So basically the publisher is the journal itself. Okay, so I hope that is now clear. That's the meaning of standalone journals. Now, if you check its contact details, it will only show the name of the journal. Okay, there is no name of an organization or a person who manages the journal. There is no address, or if there is, it is probably a fake address, and there are no reachable contact numbers. Okay, my friends, if the name of the publisher is not publicly available, whether that is an organization or an institution, including the main person who is behind it, then it is a potential predatory journal. Because just imagine, if it doesn't have a publisher, then how can it be called a publication? It's it's common sense, my dear researchers, my fellow educators. So you must stay away from it. Now, in case there is information about the publisher, maybe there is, an organization, a name of an organization, for example, uh, Association of Researchers in Southeast Asia, for example. Um, the first thing that you need to do is to search for more information about that publisher, okay, that name of the publisher via the World Wide Web. Okay, do not just settle by seeing or reading a name of a publisher. You need to search for more information about it, and you have to try to see if you can find further information to make sure that that organization really exists, because anybody can just make up a name for an organization. In fact, I can now give you a lot of names for an organization, but the question is, are these organizations existing? Do they really have an office? Are they really registered in the country that they're operating? Do they really have members? Something like that. Additionally, you should check if the stated office address is real or just a made up one. Sometimes there are organizations, there are predatory organizations that recycle other organizations or institutions' address. They're taking other institutions' address and they use it so that people will be deceived and think that they are actually real. But when you check, it's really the address of another organization, and it is not by the journal that is claiming it. So you have to be careful on that. Okay, third, another important thing to take note of is its submission policy. So let's say, for example, there is a journal right now on your screen. You are looking at the journal and you're thinking that, oh, I want to publish in this journal because I want to be promoted next period or next semester. Okay, you have to check its submission policy. If the journal is asking you to pay during the submission process and telling you that they offer guaranteed publication, my friends, it is a predatory journal for sure. I guarantee you that is a predatory journal. There is no such thing as guaranteed publication. It doesn't exist. Okay? This is similarly applied to research conferences as well. Because apart from predatory journals or predatory publishers, they're actually uh, they're actually predatory conferences. Okay? So similar to journals, if the organizer of a conference is asking you to make a payment simultaneous with your submission for presentation consideration, stay away from it because that is a predatory practice. It is obvious that they will accept anything just to make money. Okay? So, to my fellow educators in the Philippines, I must warn you, listen to me carefully. There is actually one professional organization for teachers and researchers here in the Philippines. This organization is registered at the Security and Exchange Commission as well as in the PRC. Okay, and they are doing this. They will ask you, oh, pay the conference fee, submit, and you will present. No peer review process. It's guaranteed presentation. That is not a thing. That is predatory. Okay? There is no quality check. Does it mean that what if you just submit your You submit a plagiarized content, you submit whatever, they will accept it. You see what I mean? So avoid them. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of your research. I advise you to choose to present and participate in legitimate research conferences. Of course, also to our colleagues in other countries, um, you might want to be more critical next time when you check your the journals that you know, as well as the conferences that you see that are advertising such opportunity for research presentation. Also, this might shock many, but this is true. Um, just for the information of everyone, Google Scholar and academia.edu are not legitimate, or no, they're legitimate but not reputable. Sorry. They're legitimate, but they are not reputable indexing databases. There are many predatory journals in Google Scholar as well as in academia.edu. Because Google Scholar, um, anybody can add a document, anybody can manually add published papers and take it as theirs. In fact, now my Google Scholar account, I have 19 citations. In just a few seconds, I can add another paper and I can turn my citations into 1,000. I can do that manually. All of us can do that all of us can do that manually because Google Scholar and academia.edu do not have strict um, processes in determining whether a research publication is really um, authored by their users. So I would suggest that it's better or it's wiser not to use Google Scholar and academia.edu as a basis to tell whether a publication or a journal is legitimate or not. Okay? Then for the last consideration, okay, last consideration or last pointer that you can follow, you can go to Bill's list. Bill's list is spelled as BEALL''S''List. Bill's list. Okay, so just type Bill's list in google.com and it will appear. Okay, it is publicly available. So if you see the journal listed there, that is a red flag. So you better avoid it. Now, if you notice, I have mentioned checking Bill's list last, right? Some of you might wonder, why go through all of these criteria? I have said so many criteria. So why go through all of this if there is already an existing list that we can use as a basis, right? Just so you know, although Bill's list is regularly updated, not all predatory journals are listed there. Not all. Okay? With the size of this problem, this is a global problem. It's not just in the Philippines, it's not just in India, it's not just in Bangladesh, it's not just in the US, it's a global phenomenon. So, with this big of a problem it is of course a challenge to see everything. And as a result, there are several out there that are not yet listed. So this means that you can use Bill's list as an initial basis, but it should not be used as a sole basis to tell if a journal is predatory or not. You can check it first there, but you cannot really totally rely on it. Again, you must be critical, following all of these pointers that I have provided tonight. So, I am already finished. To end my talk today, let me share my personal recommendation to help all of you, especially to those who are still learning, about the publication process of their research. So, in reference to all that I have said, I highly suggest journals that are published by colleges and universities, which, by the way, usually offer free publication. Um, Remember, what we need to know is that the journal has a legitimate publisher. And if it's published by a university or a college, it is not hard or it's not difficult to identify whether that institution is legitimate or not. By just searching Google, you would know if a certain college or a certain university exists. So that would give you um, an easier um, or a faster way to tell that the journal is legitimate or not. And also, this kind of journals are usually funded, okay, because it is the colleges and universities that are managing them. And colleges and universities usually are research oriented, so they offer free publication. And mind you, everyone, there is no predatory journal that will offer free publication because they won't make money from it. So they usually offer paid publication. Okay. I also support those that have published good quality papers and have undergone months of review process. As I said earlier, there is no such thing as fast um, publication. No legitimate journal will publish your paper in just a few days or a few weeks. It will take months. So that is one of my recommendation as well. Choose a journal that will really review your paper. The time frame between the submission to acceptance of the paper is usually stated on the first page of every research article or on the web page where its abstract is found. So if you will download the PDF of an article in a journal, you can actually see when it was submitted, when it was revised, and when it was accepted. So from there, you would know it if it really undergone a rigorous peer review process. So you can check that information to know if it is a legitimate journal. Finally, please take note that all of these factors altogether, that is the keyword, altogether, must be evident in the journal so that you can guarantee that you are not making a mistake. Okay, so you really have to evaluate it altogether and not just one by one. Okay, so this ends my talk. It was a great honor to be here. Thank you very much, IGP in Bangladesh, and to all its members and followers who have stayed until this end. Have a great time, everyone. I now welcome questions, clarifications, or sharing if there's any. Thank you.
you so much, sir, for your rich content presentation, which can impact our knowledge seekers. Surely, after your presentation, I hope our knowledge seekers can learn something new, which was our only intention. Learn and grow together as you knowledge seekers. Once again, thank you so much, sir, for your presentation. Now, sir, it's time for our question and answer session, which is the one more valuable part of our regular webinars. Honorable sir, please stay with us. After a short video, we will be back in our session part 2, which is the question answer part. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you. After question answer, we have webinar certificate and online quiz competition. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you. After question answer, we have webinar certificate and online quiz competition. Dear Rajki knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you. After question and answer, we have webinar certificate and online quiz competition. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. After question and answer, we have webinar certificate and online quiz competition. So our first question is, kindly explain to be indexed in Scopus.
Okay, thank you very much, Isaiah, for that question. Um, Scopus is an indexing database. So it's like Google Scholar, um, Web of Science. So this is where journals submit their published work, published researches, so that it could be shared to as many libraries, as many platforms as possible for a greater or a wider reach. Now, when you say to be indexed in Scopus, that that means to be included, in their database, because it is um, two of the most well-known databases, and many are seeing them as the most reputable as well. So that is the meaning of that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. And the next question is,
Okay, so what are the best practices? Okay, thank you, Mr. Toshi, for that. I actually explained it earlier in detail. What are the things that you can look at so that you are sure that the journals that you are submitting to is not a predatory journal. Okay, but to just shed light to it once again, first, of course, you need to look at its publisher. Okay. Um, Normally, if it's a predatory journal, the people behind it are hiding. They don't want to be known. They don't state their names. They do not state their address. They do not provide their contact details because they are predatory, right? It's common sense. They are trying to hide themselves because they are not legitimate. So, apart from that, you may rewatch the presentation. I have provided a detailed explanation on what other pointers you can use to avoid these predatory entities. Thank you, Toshi.
okay, thank you. Once again, thank you so much, Honorable Sir, for your time in HGP. We have learned a lot from you with new topics. It will add some value to our day-by-day activity along with our academic and professional goals. Honorable Sir, hope to see you again with a new topic and a new day. Thank you so much, sir. Take care.
Thank you very much. Toshi said, "I love you. I love you too."
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir.
Thank you very
Honorable
much.
sir, before we
See you again.
Honorable sir, before we move to the next webinar certification process, if you want to leave this studio, you can, sir. Thank you, sir. As repeat knowledge seekers, it's time for our webinar certification process, the most attractive and powerful part of our regular webinar. After a short video, we will start our webinar certification. After webinar certification, we have an online course completion and certification. Dear RGB knowledge seekers, it's time for our webinar certification process and the most attractive part of our regular webinar. After a short video, we will start our webinar certification. After webinar certification, we have an online quiz competition and quiz certification. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, it's time for the most engaging part of this webinar, which is an online quiz competition, which is our regular webinar activity participation process. Now, time for the online quiz competition. To join the online quiz competition properly, please follow my instructions carefully. Now, now time for the online quiz competition. To join the online quiz competition properly, please follow my instructions carefully. From some technical problems, we can continue our quiz from the website. So to join our quiz, you have to go to www.slido.com. Quiz code is 6780708. 6780708. After a short video, we will start our quiz session. Our first question is, by not publishing research you carried out to the best of your ability because of the result you are contribute to option 1 low self-esteem and option 2 the file drawer effect. And the correct answer is option 2 the file drawer effect. 71% people are correct here. In the leaderboard first position is Jocelyn F. Carpio. And the next question is predatory journals often solicit from experienced research scientists. One, option one, true. Option two, false. And the correct answer is option one, true. 71% people are correct here. In the leaderboard, first question is Jocelyn F. Harper. And the third question is predatory and effective aggression are terms typically used in human research. Is it true or false? And the correct answer is false. 23% people are correct here. In the leaderboard, first question is John Michael F. Harvard. And the next question is primary research about urban predatory animals is focused on terrestrial mammalian species. Is it true or false? And the correct answer is true. 73% people are correct here. In the leaderboard, first position is Milan Joy de Leon. And the fifth question is to avoid predatory landing, consumer must be knowledgeable and research before agreeing to a loan. Is it true or false? And the correct answer is option one. True, 93% people are correct here. In the leaderboard, first position is Milan Joy de Leon. And the sixth question is if reputable researchers are editors on the website, it is not a predatory journal. Is it true or false? And the correct answer is option two, false. 49% people are correct here. In the leaderboard, first position is Milan Joy de Leon. And the next question is one way to identify a predatory journal is whether it is indexed in research databases. Is it true or false? And the correct answer is true. 88% people are correct here. In the leaderboard, first position is Milan Joy de Leon. And the next question is below is an example of research tool that able to identify the predatory or blacklisted journal. Option 1, CRIP. Option 2, Bill's list. And the correct answer is option 2, Bill's list. Bill's list. 63% people are correct here. In the leaderboard, first position is Milan Joy de Leon. And the next question is in researching predatory deer, I found what less than stellar question asked on the internet. Option 1, do deer have any natural predators in North America? Yes, do. And option 2, will humans ever walk on the sun? Only at night. And the correct answer is option 1, do deer have any natural predators in North America? Yes, do. 76% people are correct here. In the leaderboard, first position is Nico Dan Asmiro. And the last question is an animal that is hunted or caught by a predator for food is called dash. Option 1, fruit. Option 2, prey. And the correct answer is option 2, prey. 98% people are correct here. In the leaderboard, first position is Nico Dan Asmiro. Congratulations, Nico Dan Asmiro. Congratulations to our webinar online quiz competition winners top 10. Congratulations, Seven. We will take a few minutes to finalize the result, and after that, we will issue our online quiz competition certificate on our website and official official Facebook page, Institute of Global Professionals. Congratulations to our webinar online quiz competition. Winners top 10 congratulations. We will take a few minutes to finalize the result, and after that we will issue our online quiz competition certificates on our website and official Facebook page, Institute of Global Professionals. At the end of the session of our session, we can say properly videos. Never stop learning because life never stops teaching us. Be happy and stay safe. See you again and again. We want your participation in every program. If you want to live a happy life, tied to a goal, not to people or things. Albert Einstein. Before I say or hit the end button, end like the button, again once to thank all IHP knowledge takers for your active participation as always. See you in the next session. Thank you.